when I struggle, the place that I go to, the mantra that I sit with is be present, have integrity, align with love. And I realized that that could actually take some explanation, especially since those words are so big and we kind of bring our own meaning to it. So I wanted to define what that means to me. Now, be present, that's something that we talk in here a lot about, so I'll just brush on that. And that is that so much of our lives we spend out of the present moment. We spend in stories about what's happened. We spend in worry or anxiety about what may happen. And so we create these stories that even while we are in traffic, we're actually at the office worried about what the boss is going to say. We're actually at home last night regretting the way that we lost our temper with our partner. And so being present is the reminder that life only happens in the now. Even the memories, even the future, all of the only reality there is this now. We bring those other things here and experience them in the now, which is a healthy thing to do because you want to go out to the future, see what potentially is coming, and then come to the now and express and prepare or act or whatever feels natural in the moment. But when we get too out of whack, when we get too living in worry, living in future, or living in past, then we're not there as our life is happening. People are always trying to extend their life when the easiest way to maximize your existence is simply to be present as your life is happening. So, what about have integrity? What does that mean? A lot of people think have integrity means being true to your word. And that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being true to who you are. The process of growing up is the process of being socialized, of learning what is appropriate, learning the values of our culture, learning what is respected. You can look at beauty standards through the ages and see that something that was considered hot in the early 1900s is considered fat now. And something that is considered hot now would be considered freakish, probably back then. And you can look at hairstyles, you can look at body types through the years, and it becomes, if something as reptilian and base as our physical attraction can be altered by our cultural and societal upbringing, imagine how powerful that is on everything else in our life, our social interactions, on our values, on our professional desires. And so having integrity is the process of being critical of those beliefs, those thoughts, and starting to discern how much of you is the layering on of external socialization and how much is something that's coming forth from inside you. Now, initially, that statement is going to sound like a crazy person talking, because until you start doing some work and going silent and question your thoughts, it's hard to even imagine that there is a distinction between who you are and what you think. But something happens in between the time that we're 4 or 5 and doing whatever we want and, pouring water on our head and playing in the mud, to when we get to be in our teens and then our early 20s, where suddenly we start to care what people think. And in that process, with caring what people think, people who love us and want the best for us teach us how to survive, how to fit in, how to thrive in the existing culture. That's a seemingly wonderful gift. But that is the beginning. The next step is, now that we know how to survive in this world, now we need to strip away all of that stuff and figure out who we really are. I believe that that process of self-work is critical. Sometimes people want to jump to fix the world, heal the world, do good. But until you have figured out what is a internally coming forth impulse that is chained to your true nature, and what is something that has been layered on your top, how do you know what's good? Every tyrant in history has been doing what they thought was good. With their mind convinced them, oh my gosh, that race of people is a problem. This nationality is evil. This religion is heathen. You know, these are all people. They're not acting like, oh, I'm going to be an evil villain. They're thinking, how can I make the world better? But they haven't done so from a place of who they are. They're not coming from true integrity. They're coming from their ego minds. So we need to dedicate resources and a practice of seeking that integrity so that when we act, we are acting in alignment. And that's the third part, which is align with love. In a lot of ways, it's very related to being in integrity. When I say align with love, I'm not talking about being nice or, hearts and Valentine's Day and some of the things that we associate with love. I'm talking about love as in what I believe to be the harmony of the universe, the flow of the cosmos. There is a harmony to all things. The universe is poetic beyond comprehension in its balance. Now, within that balance is all sorts of chaos and violence and explosions and supernovas and predators but all of these things within things, chaos, order, is a harmony. We are a part of that harmony. Within our bodies, all sorts of chemical levels, all sorts of microscopic battles going on so that we can have the harmony of our healthy selves. Now, it can seem tough when the universe, the world, is filled with horrible things. I would argue as a side note that it's not filled with horrible things. It's actually filled with amazing things, but there is horror in it. You cannot have the perspective to know what chaos is needed for the grand order of all things. Let me tell you about something that happens in nature. It's called the Tarantula Wasp. Have you ever heard of that? The Tarantula Wasp will find a big furry spider, sting it, paralyze it, drag it back to its underground lair, lay its eggs in it. Now, the eggs hatch, and the larvae survive on the still living tarantula. That's as horrific and cruel as any Saw movie, and yet it is a part of this massive, balanced, poetic system. If you look at a single piece of it, how could you comprehend of a God that could do such a thing? Well, that's the wrong question. How can you comprehend of a God that can create a world filled with so much stuff, so much wonder, so much life, so much emotion, so much brilliance? And it's the same kind of surrender that we have to have in so many things of our life. We think because we have a mind that has a conscious grasp on a self-awareness, we've slipped into the belief that that is all-powerful and all-knowing and we're steering the ship. The majority of what we are happens and exists and thrives totally independent of our mind. All of our health things, our breathing, our heart, all of the nodes and lymphs and bile ducts that I don't understand what they do, but they do it whether we know it or not. But we get caught up in that fact that, oh, we have some control, therefore we're in control. And it feels so wrong to surrender and have faith that things will work out. We have faith that the sun will rise. We have faith that we will inhale if we exhale. But we don't have faith that if we stop striving, that we will still be in abundance. We will still be taken care of. I don't remember the quote, but Jesus said something like, look at the birds, see how they are taken care of. Are we not more worthy than the birds? There's actually, in our culture, we think of people that step outside of that ego acquisition stuff, and we see them as being the problem. We see them as being lazy and get a job. Like, we really, being homeless is like a disease. And I think part of it is because it shines this huge light on what we accept as being it's outside the status quo. And if anyone is okay with that, then it means the status quo can be questioned. That isn't true in all cultures. The Buddhist monk with his alms bowl is embraced. They're Indian mystics. Where it is embraced that they do not have worldly possessions. They are taken care of by people and appreciated as this reminder of what's really important. Thank you for walking this walk and living in this integrity to who you are, because it helps me to stay aware that I'm playing a game, and as hard as I want to play, I still know that there is a higher path. So, to me, love is actually that flow of the universe, that harmony of the universe. I believe that flow, because we are a part of it. And I believe our highest flow, my experience of surrendering to the flow, is that it is towards connection, it is towards harmony, it is towards compassion. And so I believe love, I believe the divine flow to be that current. And so to align with love doesn't mean fix the problem. It doesn't necessarily mean stop the pain. It doesn't mean peace. It means surrendering to this flow, being more in touch with compassion, with connection, with harmony. And so going to those three places of being present, having integrity, aligning with love, it does something very scary. It takes you out of the driver's seat. Now, most of the living things on the planet are not in the driver's seat, and they seem to do okay. Now, do some of them die in famines and fires? Absolutely. But so do we. We just think that we're safe. No, when I was talking about all this, someone asked, okay, so when you are trusting, when you start to just allow and be vulnerable and not try to, hoard and take control, when you start living in this open-hearted way, won't people take advantage of you? And the answer is sometimes. But that's okay. I sometimes talk about the Optimism Tax, where if you live in a trusting way, occasionally someone's going to take advantage of you. I'm not saying live in a trusting way like leave your money on the sidewalk or your wallet, in your unlocked car or something like that. Someone once told me the phrase, don't create a thief, meaning don't tempt people to cross their own current. People know what's right and wrong to a degree, so you don't want to challenge someone. Don't create a thief. But if someone does take advantage of your kindness, someone takes advantage of your unlocked door or doesn't do the right thing, you have two choices. You can either decide, I'm going to be more careful now and trust people less because I don't want to be taken advantage of again. Or you can say, oh, I just got hit with the optimism tax. It cost me $100, $200, $10,000, $100,000. But what I get in exchange for that tax is I get to live in a world where I can focus on and be aware of and surround myself with amazing, trusting, loving people and experiences and environments. And that is priceless. No amount of money that you can save is worth the cost of living behind bars. You know, Jesus said, you know, if someone asks you for your shoes, give him your cloak as well. There is a real power to forgiveness and non-attachment and allowing. Person I was talking to followed up again. They're like, well, but so, you know, how do you deal with people taking things away from you, you know, and having nothing And I was like, okay, this is a big one. But you have to let go of the way you think your life is supposed to be. And part of that, I mean, there's one degree of like being okay with the fact that if that surrendering place takes you to a place of homelessness for a chapter, then that's okay. But it also means being okay with death. Because in the grand harmony of the cosmos, as we discovered with the Tarantula Wasp, sometimes things that are perfectly in alignment with the harmony of the cosmos die. Or other horrible things happen. But if you can come back to a place of integrity, of being in alignment with love, then you can fall into that place of having faith that in the grand scheme of things, your life is exactly as it should. You are actually a warrior in the cause of goodness. You're an agent of love in the universe. And if you happen to if you die in that cause, what more glorious thing is that? I don't want to die for political means, but I will absolutely be willing to sacrifice or give my life when it's time in the course of the flow of love. Now, this is a little bit easier for me to say because I don't really believe in death. I believe that what we are is a combination of physical matter and vibrational energy. And in the physical matter of what we are has our brain, which includes all of our memories, all of our experiences. Many of the things that we associate with I is in that physical matter self. But it's animated by something that cannot be explained. No science can help us yet understand what consciousness is, where it comes from, where it lives. It is like this, we are like this meat puppet that electricity animates. But the electricity is coming from someplace else, someplace beyond this reality, this dimension, this experience of the physical world. So if for some reason that line is cut and the life force leaves this meat, the light, the energy, the vibration that animated me it just returns. It is just always connected. It has never left. It is part of that source. And if acting as an agent of the force of this love, that cut happens, well, how can I not be okay with that? Because in that place, there is no higher purpose than walking the walk according to integrity, according to love, being present. Whatever happens then is exactly right. That tarantula that gave its life for those wasps is a divine agent of the harmony of the universe. And we can all aspire to be such as that. Now, I think that when we have this exceptional abilities beyond the tarantula. So we actually have the ability, when we surrender, to act as agents of compassion, to act as agents of art, to act as agents of enlightenment. And so that path can only happen when we surrender. So, I'm very grateful for the questions and inspiration that made me start thinking about this week. And I really appreciate the opportunity to stew and sit and kind of go with the word flow and allow the ideas to percolate, to come forth, to be revealed. So wherever you are in your path, I hope that we can encourage one another in our practice of being present, of aligning, of having integrity. I know that it is one of those things where as the vibration is magnified by one another, it becomes much less of a challenge to get out of your ego, because you're in the current of many people who are also in that flow. So thank you for being a partner in flow. So let's have a hug. Let's anchor that vibe. And let's have ourselves a hug. So wherever you are, grab yourselves by the shoulders. This meat puppet. And have gratitude for all of the adventures it's given you so far, and all the adventures it will, and all of the sensations that it's given you in this now moment. And let's remember that everyone we meet is a perfect divine ray, seed, cell in that cosmic flow, and then a whole bunch of piled on values and status quo stuff layered on top, just as we are. And so as we work to uncover our true nature, let's acknowledge the true nature in everyone. And that when given the right opportunities, we all open and blossom and become part of that flow. So let's love right through whatever actions people do. And know that no matter what we hear on the news, the world would far rather hug us than hurt us. Let's take a deep breath and sit with that connection. Breathe in connection. Share it with the world. Breathe in integrity. Share it with the world. Breathe in love. Share it with the world. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. Thank you for being you, shining your light, walking your walk. What divine reflections we are in one another. Thank you. I love you. Namaste.